The Challenges of Immigration Reform by
Cristina Montes,
Ever Panaran,
Misty Hernandez,
Renee Collin.
Woohoo! Immigration is the action of coming to live permanently in a foreign country. Therefore, immigration reform as our topic is the term for changes or attempts to change laws governing immigrants and immigration, often used by those wanting to create a way for people who arrive or stay in the country illegally to eventually get permission to stay in the country.
We interviewed 4 different people who have faced the challenges of immigration reform. Each interview dives into a different perspective of immigration, from mixed status families, DACA programs, and the growth of immigrants in Tijuana, to the American dream that people still hope for.
Immigration has had a positive and negative effect in this country. These effects can evolve in different ways, causing the alteration of economic, political, social, and even environmental factors. Some positive effects that immigration brings are the increase of ethnic, cultural, and the increase of the labor competition, which helps to activate the economy of that society.
However, when the receiving society does not have the conditions and resources to host the migratory flow, then instability in the social structure occurs, causing in turn migratory and economic crisis. There are 2 aspects of this factor that is becoming more frequent. An increase is estimated in the coming years. Are we really getting ready?
In America, nearly 17 million people in the country have at least one unauthorized family member living with them in the same household, according to Sylvia Mathema in the article Keeping Families Together. So I interviewed Isabel Duarte, an immigration attorney, and asked her a few vital questions for mixed status families. What is some advice you would give to mixed status families?
It depends on how they came into the United States. And if they have children that were born here, they may or may not be able to, what's called petition for their parents to get papers. For instance, somebody who just came illegally across the border, we call it EWI, entered without inspection, and kind of just maybe hired someone to get them across. Yeah. And then they, have a child here who eventually turns over 21. They may probably, unless someone filed a petition for them before April 30th, 2001 is the magic date to grandfather them in, is what it's called, then they would actually have to go back to their home country and request to be allowed back in through a consular process, through the consulate in, for instance, Mexico. But they also need a waiver for having been here illegally for so long. And unfortunately, the waiver is basically saying, please forgive me for doing this thing. If you don't let me back in, it would result in extreme hardship to a certain family member. Right now, the family member hardship only applies to a parent or a spouse who was legal resident or a citizen. It doesn't apply to a child. Yeah. So while the child can petition for the parents in that scenario, they wouldn't ultimately qualify to get them through the waiver process because they're not a family member. Yeah. They have to show it would result in extreme hardship too. So in that scenario, it would be very hard to get the parents' papers. If the parents did come on a visa, and if they didn't have any other kind of bars or arrests or other violations in their background, then the child could, after the child turned 21, like if they came on a border crossing card or a visa, a legal entry or some kind of, maybe were allowed in at the border, like with some sort of inspection, doesn't necessarily have to be a visa, then the child might be able to, then definitely not if they were just smuggled across or snuck across. They would be stuck in the first scenario that I described. And I've spoken to plenty of children whose parents are in that situation, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
Also, there's what's called a permanent bar. So after, 96 or 97, I think it's April 1st, 1997, and I'd have to double check those exact dates as well. If you came illegally after that date and overstayed a certain amount of time, left, and then tried to even attempt to come illegally again, you're permanently barred from anybody ever petitioning for you, even if you were married. It's called a permanent bar, and that takes a lot of people by surprise, and it's a hard conversation to have with people. If they've had kind of multiple exits and entries after that 1997 date, they're actually permanently, they don't qualify, and there isn't a waiver for that.
Individuals have migrated to the United States due to their families trying to find a better future for them and their children. Programs such as DACA have helped those who have migrated here from a very young age and helped them live the American dream. My interview is on Itzel Gillen, an integrated immigration manager and a DACA recipient.
in a way relieved to know that that's what they did, because then we had the courts react and bring back the program, at least in the renewals, right? And we know that this is still a battle that we have to fight, and that DACA was not a real solution, that we have to keep fighting for legislation. And I think that made a lot of us, those that have DACA, sort of calm down, because we had a permission to be here and we thought we were okay. But I think that night we were reminded that no, this is not permanent and they could take it away from you whenever they want. We've lived in this country for so long that a lot of us may not necessarily even know the language, or know exactly, where they come from. They may not even have family over there. For me, it was a reminder that I am neither from here or there, but I'm from both at the same time. And just looking back at it now, I definitely feel a bigger connection than I had before I went, because I saw myself in the children that were working the streets, selling whatever they were selling, doing dances, trying to make some money. I saw that poverty that I knew existed but hadn't seen with my own eyes. And I saw the poverty that my family left, because that could have very well been our family. Definitely growing up undocumented, even though, I was a good student or with my peers, outside having a good time, and them not really knowing my immigration status, there wasn't really a difference that I could see until I started to get older. But I mean, there definitely is a difference between being a DACA recipient and having U.S. citizenship, because we're treated differently, right? Here we are, having to renew every 2 years in an uncertain time. We don't know necessarily whether or not this opportunity will be here next year or the following year. So how do you plan a successful life if you don't know where you're going to be?
Tijuana has established itself as a host city for immigrants from other countries, mostly from southern Mexico. Most individuals cross the border seeking better life opportunities, but many of them do not achieve their goal and have been anchored in Tijuana. Nowadays, it is increasingly noticeable that the migratory factor does not include a return to their country of origin for those who do not achieve the goal of crossing into the United States, and they are forced to stay and start a new life in Tijuana, a city built by immigrants. My interview is on Irma Judith Diaz Arriola from El Grullo, Jalisco. Irma and her siblings decide to leave their hometown to cross the border of the United States to Tijuana. However, she decides to stay in Tijuana for not achieve her goal.
Mi nombre es Irma Judith Díaz Arreola y soy del Grullo, Jalisco. Tengo 57 años.
Una de las razones por las que te saliste de Jalisco.
Pues nada más porque, haz de cuenta, mis hermanos vivían acá todo el tiempo al otro lado, entonces, pues vente a ver, ¿verdad? Que había una de mis cuñadas acababa de tener una bebé, entonces para que les ayudara con la bebé. Pero no me crucé.
¿Alguno de tu familia se cruzó?
¿De mis familias?
¿Para Estados Unidos?
De mis hermanos. Pues mis 2 hermanos que viven allá.
¿Ellos se cruzaron antes que tú?
Sí. Ajá.
¿Ellos ya tenían el deseo de irse para Estados Unidos?
Sí. Desde siempre. Uno se vino de 13 años. Ajá. Ya el otro ya estaba un poco más grande, pero Hugo se vino a los 13 años. No cruzó luego porque hizo muchos intentos y nada. Ya hasta los años pudo cruzar, se quedó aquí con un tío hermano de mi papá.
¿Y para tus padres el que se fueran a tan temprana edad, cómo fue para ellos?
Les dieron la libertad, fíjate, de que si ellos decidieron venirse.
¿Te viniste para acá, para Tijuana? ¿Nunca estuvo en tu intención irte a Estados Unidos?
Sí, yo iba a Estados Unidos. Yo me vine a ir a Estados Unidos.
¿Y qué fue lo que sucedió?
Pues yo ya conocía en ese entonces mi novio, ya lo conocía en el Grullo. Y aquí pues platicamos, nos pusimos de acuerdo y pues nos casamos como en 8 días.
¿Y decidieron establecerse aquí en Tijuana?
Aquí en Tijuana, sí.
¿Por qué no regresar a Jalisco?
porque toda su familia de él aquí vivía allá. Ya se habían venido todos, se vinieron.
¿Cuál fue uno de los obstáculos que te tuviste que enfrentar cuando estuviste a punto de cruzar?
Como lo que dejé, lo que más dolió dejarme, mis padres. Pero de ahí nada. Pero para mucha gente yo sí he visto que es muy difícil, batallan demasiado, sufren pues.
Stories can vary as the reason individuals choose to leave their homeland when circumstances are no longer beneficial, but it seems reasonable to assume that most of them migrate with the hopes of finding the American dream, which is the belief of financial stability and better future prospects, high standards of living, and seeking new horizons through hard work and initiative with opportunities that the United States can provide. My interviewee is an adventurous Chilean man who immigrated to the United States to the new possibilities for a greater life no matter the conditions of President Donald Trump's administration. His name is Alberto Miranda, and this is his perspective of immigration reform. Respecto al actual presidente de los Estados Unidos.
Bueno, el caballero, en mi opinión, no es mejor ni peor que otros que conocí. Yo vengo de un país donde hubo un régimen militar autoritario, represivo, donde yo lo sentí fuerte, porque hubo muertes, hubieron crímenes a la humanidad en mi país. Así que no me extraña ver de repente cosas así, porque yo me crié en ese ambiente en la época de los 70, cuando hubo el golpe de Estado en mi país. Ahora, como vengo a decir, si yo participo en la idea que tiene este caballero presidente de este país, tampoco voy a entrar en descrédito hacia él, porque poco lo conozco, pero sí puedo decir que su principal misión, por lo que yo veo, es limpiar de los que él cree que no son gratos aquí, y sacarlos a toda costa. Es como su caballito de batalla. Cuando le bajan el rating, vuelve a retomar el tema de los inmigrantes para poder subir en la estadística de la aceptación general, y teniendo tantos otros problemas en este país como ser la violencia que podría atacarla, se preocupa mucho en los inmigrantes, que sí es un problema, pero no lo considero al nivel que él lo está tratando en la actualidad.
¿Algo más de lo que quieras hablar?
Bueno, agradecer a la gente de acá de este país, que no son mejor ni peor que mi gente, que mis coterráneos de mi país, de Chile. Darles las gracias a todos los que se han puesto en mi camino y por haberme abierto las puertas, aunque en este momento se está combatiendo por tratar de quedarnos acá, y se están desarrollando nuevas leyes en el Senado y todo eso contra los inmigrantes. Se debe tener valor, en mi opinión, y echarle hartas ganas para que todas las cosas que nos propongamos con la ayuda de Dios salgan adelante y poder ser un aporte para este país, no un peso muerto. Esa es mi idea y es mi convicción.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.
What is economic inequality, you may ask? Well, it refers to the amount of money that people are paid or the distribution of wealth. More specifically, income inequality refers to the extent to which income is distributed in an uneven manner among the population. The disparities between income have become so pronounced that America's top 10% average more than 9 times as much income as the bottom 90%, while America's top 1% is even higher, averaging 39 times more income than the bottom 90%. Statistics show that 43.5% of the total U.S. population are considered either poor or low income, which is almost half of the U.S. population, which is honestly insane because people are out here struggling to even afford to live. As previously mentioned, economic inequality can affect where you live. Right now, what is shown is South Park, San Diego, which is blocks away from just downtown San Diego. However, there's way more homeless people in the streets of downtown than there is in South Park, and it shows that it's so hard to have like a working income that people can't even afford to live or feed themselves, that they just resort to living on the streets. But now that's taken a turn on them because cops have been taking down their camps and displacing them even more, that they're ended up with nowhere to go. Economic inequality doesn't only affect the person facing it, but also their dependents and those who rely on them for support. Economic inequality affects educational opportunities.
Awesome. Who is affected by economic inequality? Small business owners. Trump put a tax plan in place last year that gives top corporations tax breaks so they can expand their businesses and secure jobs in America for Americans. Federal income taxes affect small businesses because at the end of each fiscal year, statistics show that most of all small business owners barely make it afloat or even make a profit for that matter. This keeps small fish in the small pond unable to expand and really grow. On the other hand, these big companies get tax breaks to expand and secure jobs. But what about the small businesses? They're just as important, and they play just as important role in economic growth as big business.
Awesome, this is Christian Stringfield. I'm conducting a small business interview with Brady Mahaney. We are going to be discussing the differences between bigger corporations in Postal Service and small businesses in Postal Service. Can you provide a description of your business?
We're a standard business model similar to a postal annex or a mailbox, etc. So we rent mailboxes, we do shipping with carriers like FedEx, the post office, and DHL, and we either provide other services like notaries and selling office and packing supplies.
Awesome. What is your background, education/work experience?
My work experience during school was fast food and restaurant touring, and then during school I studied photojournalism. And then I ended up joining the military when I was 23, and they put me in the supply department, and I've been working in operations management, logistics, warehouse management, order fulfillment, and that type of thing ever since.
How did you get the skills necessary to run this type of business?
It's a culmination of all the different things I've done over the course of my life.
Awesome. What advantages of this form of business? What are the advantages of this form of business ownership?
I'm a sole proprietor for one thing. I'm not actually technically a sole proprietor, but I'm not a franchise or a part of an organization. It's just the one and only location that we have here, and that means that I don't have to answer to any corporate overlords or anybody above me. I can do anything I want to do. And one of the nice things about being this small is that I can change directions very quickly. If I decide to discontinue one product and take on a completely new product line, I can do that very easily with my resources.
How do you market your business? How are people aware of your business?
Mostly by word of mouth, and we do have some window signage. We have some very large windows for our frontage. We have presence on social media such as Facebook and Yelp and Google. That's about it.
Why do your customers select you over your competition?
They find us faster and friendlier and more convenient. They're willing to pay a little bit more money for that convenience.
Are there any ethical concerns that your type of business must deal with?
We have to be very honorable. We have to protect people's privacy. We have to respect they depend on us to respect their privacy. We deal with a lot of sensitive documents and things like that, their personal information, and we have to be very honorable about the way we take care of that information.
Are there anything that your competitors implement that you wish you could implement in your business?
Some have large format printing, some have money orders, some have different elements. I could add on or subtract any of these kind of things to the business plan if I want to. I've just chosen not to add those services. There isn't anything that I would really desire to have that I don't have that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Do you have any other business ventures at the moment?
I am working on starting a couple of other businesses that are in their infancy. One of them is going to be an e-commerce store selling t-shirts and lifestyle goods, and the other is going to be a company who puts on festivals, events, and finds entertainment for events, for like trade shows and different civic engagement events.
What is the future for this type of business?
The future for this type of business is always a little cloudy. A lot of businesses are moving to self-serve kiosks, and you can now go into McDonald's and order your food without actually having to engage a customer or engage an employee. But I don't think that's going to work with this type of business anytime in the near future, because there are so many options to the way that you can ship a package that if you left it up to a customer to do it, they would probably do it the wrong way. So you do need a certain level of expertise. There's also the factor of security about trying to prevent things like explosives being introduced into the mail stream or the FedEx stream. We have to be very diligent, and they're going to need somebody to actually watch over that. So I'm a little concerned about automation taking things over in the future, but it doesn't seem like this is going to be something that's going to happen with us right away. A big hazard for us in the future will be whenever they can 3D print the object that you want instead of having to have it shipped to you, or even further down the road, like Star Trek being able to teleport something from one point to another, then they wouldn't need us for shipping at that point either. However, the more things are moving through the systems like that and people are receiving packages from Amazon and stuff, the more they may need a business like this to safely receive those packages for them while they're not at work. So the mailbox aspect of this business, I think, is a strong future to it, to where it can evolve in many different ways. Just over the last couple of years, we've introduced virtual mailboxes, which is a new way to do that. The post office does not seem to be catching up with that very fast, so unless they really get their act together, I don't think they're going to be too big of competition on that. So again, it's kind of cloudy. Things can change, but the fact that we're small enough, we can roll with those changes.
What are some of the biggest issues for running this business?
The biggest issues for running this business are the attention to detail that it requires. Every single thing that you do requires a great deal of attention to detail, and it's very easy to make a mistake, and once you've made a mistake, you don't get a chance to see it again, because quite often we're filing things or putting things away someplace where we think they're in the right place, only to find out later on that they weren't in the right place. And so the attention to detail is very important, and it's probably the most important aspect.
When you were younger, did you think that you would be where you are now?
When I was younger, I was interested in starting my own business. I guess I was probably a sophomore or a freshman in high school when I was taking a high school economics class, and the teacher put the question to the rest of the class, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everybody came back with the usual answers they'd probably figured out for themselves in the 6th grade. And at the end of it, she mentioned not a single one of you has said that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. And that really struck me. I don't think very many people in my class could pronounce entrepreneur, and I don't think it's a word we had heard very often growing up in a school in South Texas. So that made me think about what an entrepreneur is and what they do, and after thinking about that more, I'd always wanted to be my own boss, run my own business, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but it manifested into this, and it's pretty much exactly what I was putting together over all those years.
If something happens to you, what will happen to your business? Will it keep running on?
That's a good question. I need to set up some kind of a trust that can deal with the business if something were to happen to me, and that's not in place right now. There are some notes in the organizational structure of the business as to how things are supposed to proceed if I were to meet my demise, but I would like to go back and review those again now that I've been in business for a while. Those instructions were come up with when I first opened the business, and now that we're 8 years in, things are a little bit more established, and I would like to go ahead and set up a trust that could deal with any repercussions of losing me running the business.
We're down to our last 2 questions. How has technology, such as computers and the internet, impacted on how you conduct your business?
Well, before we had the internet, it probably would have taken me twice as many employees to actually run this business. As it is, I can work 3 computers by myself and service 4 more customers at a time, whereas before it would take your full attention to work with 1 customer and some time to figure out calculations for what you should charge them, what it would cost, time of delivery, and things like that.
Good morning, my name is Carlos, and I'm going to present about compassion again. So the compassion is basically the behavior of people to try to support others. When someone needs help and a person tries to support or resolve his problem, is an example of this. Also, the compassion present almost every day in the work, in the school, with your classmates or co-workers. It is not just helping others because you feel pity, but because you have respect and you are a good person. Is what defines us, what the person who really are. If you, because in a world there is people that use things in themselves and don't care someone else. If you help someone and thought that you will receive something for your support, or just because people around you are watching, so there is the worst thing to help someone who really need it. So think about you or any their family who you really appreciate be in this situation, so you will help him, of course, right? So if you have the opportunity to support someone, so do it, no matter what the other people think. Don't judge others because nobody knows what happened in the future. So the world is a board game. Maybe today you have everything, tomorrow maybe not. Nobody has his destiny both. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'm Carlos, and I would like to start off with I'm gonna talk to you about veganism and my experience when I went vegan, and then what I stopped eating vegan, and right now I'm vegetarian. I would like to start off with being vegan. It's not a diet; it's more like a lifestyle. Most of the people know there's vegetarian, which means you cannot eat meat, but you can do dairy, milk, and eggs. Vegan, it's more like a lifestyle. You're not supposed to wear like leather shoes. You're not allowed to drink milk, since it's considered like a product of the animal, and they have no need to produce the milk. Also, from animals have feelings, thoughts, and personalities just as we do. I make a research and eating vegan and a light plant-based food means animal will stop suffering from 100 to 30%. And also helps you to lowering your cholesterol levels. And also vegan people helps to adopt animals, and they take those animals to families who they need for animals like dogs and cats, and they can also pay for the vaccines and you can change and save the world. I saw a video on Netflix it's called What the Health, and I went vegan when I saw the video. I was 15-year-old. And I spent 4 years being a vegan, but since I didn't have a lot of information, I got anemia, and I really encourage you to, if you're gonna start a diet, you can go and see a doctor and a nutritionist, because if not, you're gonna do a bad health to your body. And thanks for your attention.
Hi, my name is Mercedes Preciado. I'm losing my hearing. I use hearing aids for listen. I start losing my hearing at 35 years old. I have degenerative and congenital disease. My father is deaf and 2 brothers. I do not have the same problem as the deaf at birth. I listen to all. I have listening most of my life, and when I start to lose, it was a little by little. I would like people to have more information about the deaf people. The vast majority is not mute. Only they have never hear and sound, and that's why they cannot talk. I speak sign language. I'm preparing for when I do not hear anything. But then I wonder if there will be more help for my future. That's when it scares me. I worry how I'm going to communicate with others. I will only be able to speak with those who know sign language. It's very limited, or was limited. That would limit me a lot. I would like to people to learn a little sign language. Then we will begin to be integrated into the hearing society. We could start with the something little. What do you think? ABC? Are you ready? A, B, C, D, E, F, H, A, M, O, Q, R, S, T, U, X, C. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is called Alex Taban, in the class ELEC 33. Professor Jennifer Bode is my professor, and I'll be talking briefly about the high charging rate of interest. So when I talk about the high charging rate of interest, I'm referring to the institution, business institutions, like bank, companies, just name it, whatever. Everything that has to do with charging high interest. Okay? So, of course, plus the entrepreneurs. So basically, when you look at the system itself, the system is like favoring a certain class of people. So basically, like if you want to have something to pursue actually your dreams and you want to have a loan, and basically they put the interest that can actually set you on trap. And a lot of people always who actually want to pursue their dreams and to make better life for themselves, they found pretty difficult. Sometimes you have to take chances in life though. So basically, it's a game in the business. It's a game in the business. So let me say you have a dreams to become, let me say you want to open a small business, and they just give you, okay, we can help you. Of course, they pretend like they want to help you so that, you know, you can better your life. So people take chances so that actually they can open up business thinking that they can make something better out of that. But at the same time, the interest is not favorable. You know what I'm saying? So basically, if you take chances of that kind and later on you are not able to pay back, that's when the company or the bank come after you. So when they come after you, no sympathy. So what I'm saying actually, it's This should be like a fair interest to help everybody who is willing to pursue the dream or who is willing to do something else. So these are the only things I wish those who are concerned with the system should look into this, because it's affecting a certain class of people who cannot actually try to do something for themselves. You see that? So basically, if government is not taking concern to review the system itself of charging high rate of interest, it's not going to be easy for like a lower class people to catch up with the high class or the middle class people. And that's why you will see that the top people who are at the high class, they always want to maintain their level, and they don't want the low class level to catch up with their level. And that's why there's a struggling going on always. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the people who have money or those who have already made success in life, they try to put things that like a barriers that can oppress those on the low class level not to reach there. So it's like what I'm saying, this is a game like in a business. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the only situation that can help those who are at the low level so that they can reach to a certain class of the same people at the higher level, government has to intervene to review the laws. Otherwise, it will be very hard. And to this very day, there's still people who are struggling to pay up their loan, and they cannot do it. Look at the students. There are many students in the college. Some people who even have finished their college, but they cannot yet pay back their loans. So you found that life is like you're oppressed on one side that you cannot always get away with it. Imagine people are living from paycheck to paycheck. And it's not like your choice you want to live from paycheck to paycheck. Everybody want to make sure you hit your success. You hit your success. But then, for you to reach your success, it needs a help. You can't reach there without something. You have to find a ways to reach there. And the only ways to reach there, look deep into your dreams. What does your dreams require? Of course, when you look deep into your dreams, everything is about cash, money. So for you to reach there, to fulfill it, you need a certain amount of money or capital that can take you to that level. And for you to reach to that level, it's not easy. That's where you got to go. You have to maneuver your ways. Or either go to the bank or try to see that. You know what? Let me just try to go and try to grab like loan, probably I'm going to pay it back. So at the end, you find yourself, boom, on the trap. People are struggling. Now, if you look at the number of the majority of people who are supposed to pay loan, the number is big. Now, if you count those who have made success, the number is not big. And those who are struggling, the numbers, life is all about struggle. So it's not easy. You have really to try hard, or the only way, you just have to hustle. You just have to hustle and find your ways without getting a bank loan or any loan that can put you in trouble. So the only situation that can get us off, like what I said, the government has to intervene to review the laws of the charging of high interest. Now, if you look at the state of California, the rate of living, the cost of living is too high. Especially for those who want to achieve the success in life. Man, if you're a family, if you're married with your children, it's not easy. It will always be tough. So what we need, a review of the system of the law so that it can help everybody to try what he can try for his life, though. Probably that's what I can say. Thank you.